Hi guys, this is Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge. Thanks for stopping by to watch another review video. Today, the knife that we're looking at from HX Outdoors is the ZD-004, and this is a Wharncliffe tipped knife or blade shape, all orange with blue G10 accents. It's Love Them Knives called it a clown knife. I'm calling it a cartoon knife. That's the word I was thinking of before I saw his video. But I guess you could call it a clown knife as well, maybe a little bit. It's a very comfortable knife in hand. You can really grab onto it and use it for a long time without getting hot spots. Easy to hold, very good for using, feels nice, and I like it. I've got two of them. I'm not sure if it was by accident or not, but thank you to GearBest for sending this knife to me to review. So if you're interested in this knife, and I think it's actually a pretty nice knife, then why don't you stick around for the full review coming at you right now. So what do you think of this knife already? You want to pause the video and put your comments in the comment section. Put in your comments that you're commenting before you've watched the rest of this video. I'm wondering what your honest opinion is before you hear what I think about it. I'm very curious. It is a unique kind of knife in some ways. All right, so let's get on to the details. HX Outdoors. The name's right on the flat of the blade right there. It says Us 8 Steel right there on the plunge line right there. On the back, you've got your Chinese logo for the business for HX Outdoors. Well, maybe not their logo name, but their company name. And then right there on the plunge line there, it says ZD-004. Or my American friends are going to say ZD. Satin finish. By the way, Us 8 is usually around 57, 58 Rockwell hardness, which is decent. Handle material, G10. G10 all over the place. The blue accent pieces, they're all G10 as well. I'm calling it a Wharncliffe style blade. I'm calling it a high flat. Saber, I guess, is technically what it is, but I'm calling it a high flat grind. I'm 90% sure that it's got bearings in it. I haven't taken it apart, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. And I haven't found anybody else to confirm, and I haven't found the details on HX Outdoors website. If I find it while I'm doing the editing, I'll put the details on the bottom of the screen. But I believe it's bearings. I'll tell you why in a little while. We've got a liner lock right there. We've got a liner on the one side, nothing on the other side, just your G10. And I know some people have asked me about that before, if knives are strong enough if they've only got G10. G10 is a very strong material. Yes, you don't need the steel liner on the other side for this knife to be robust. This knife is very strong and robust without a steel liner on the show side. It doesn't need it. This G10 especially is very plenty thick enough. Very plenty thick enough. Great English, my friend. There's a lot enough G10 there, strong enough. It doesn't need a liner on the other side. The alignment on both of mine is quite good when you close it up. Actually, very close to excellent, if you ask me. Both of them are, perfect. They've just done a really good job on them. Neither of them have any blade play. One thing that Love Them Knives found is that his had some play in the detent. So when it was closed, you could wiggle the blade that way and back that way, just a little bit up and down. There's no blade play of the detent on either of mine. They're both nice and snug. I think he might have got a lemon, actually, and he should be returning it and getting the replacement, if you ask me. So that's good. There's no blade play side to side or up and down when it's locked. That's really good. It looks like it's got nylon washers. Let's see if we can get it to focus here. There we go. It looks like it's got nylon washers in there, but I think it's just a white plastic that's holding the ball bearings. I don't believe those are washers. And because you can see that space there, especially on this side, That's also indicative of it being ball bearings in there, because if it was just a space, then you would have blade play when you move it side to side, and there is no blade play. When I took a flashlight and lit it in there, I'm sure that I saw ball bearings. I took the knife apart as far as I could. On Love Them Knives, he had a problem with them too. He had a really big deal with the pivot. For me, the pivot screw came out easily, but it was these screws back here that got stripped. It's in this clamp just for this picture. I went to my garage and I put the knife in a clamp, and I used an angle grinder, and thankfully I stayed between the two orange pieces and just cut those backspacer bolts out, because they were just stripping. Love Them Knives had the exact same problem, but he didn't take his apart. So now you'll be able to see, thanks to the fact that I got two of these sent to me, exactly what it's like inside. So there you go. Not only does it have ball bearings, it's got double row ball bearings inside. I think it was worth it to take this apart. All I need to do is get a couple back spacers turn this into an open pillar construction knife, and we're back in business. And pillars for open pillar construction like that are available from several knife making vendors, so not a problem at all. I think it's a really good knife in terms of how it functions. It's designed well, their execution is done well, it works great. There's only one kind of caveat to that, and I'll tell you about that when I do the pros and the cons. Let's do the dimensions first. We've got a cutting edge right here of 7.6 centimeters, that's 3 inches. The blade length from the handle to the tip of the blade, 8.5 centimeters, which is 3.3 inches. The blade thickness is 4 millimeters, which is 0.16 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, it's kind of thick. It's a little bit heavy. It's 0.7 millimeters, whereas I like to have a knife this size be about 0.5 to 0.6. So it's a little thick. Because it's over 3 inches, that's why I allow it to go from 0.5 to 0.6. 0.7 millimeters is 0.028 inches. The handle length, 11.4 centimeters, which is 4.5 inches. The grip area, 8.5 centimeters, 3.3 inches. The handle thickness is 1.5 centimeters, which is 0.6 of an inch. And the total length when it's open, it's just less than 20 centimeters, 7.8 inches. It weighs 130 grams, which is 4.6 ounces. How much are you going to pay for this guy? It's more than many of you might want to pay. $35.03 US, $48.28 Canadian at GearBest. There is shipping on this knife. If you buy a second item, the shipping starts going down and starts splitting between those items, and you start saving some money that way. Yeah, it costs a little bit more. What are the pros and cons of this knife? Well, I think the styling is a big con on this knife for some people. For me, the styling is a big pro. So really, it's a personal choice kind of thing. I'm going to say that the styling is a pro. I like the styling. It looks really good, and it feels very good. I can't stand knives that look good but feel terrible. This knife does both. It looks good and it feels great in the hand. During extended use, cutting cardboard, doing all kinds of stuff, I tested it like crazy and worked for a long time with it. I love this knife in terms of its feel. So its design is good, its styling is good, its execution is good, and I like the color choices that they made with the G10. It looks a little bit like they took an inspiration from ZT knives, or in Canada we might say ZT knives, the same guys that do Kershaw, but they're high-end knives, ZT knives. It looks sort of like one of their knives, doesn't it? But I don't know which knife they were inspired by, if any, or if it's a completely in-house design. I don't know. And that's the pros. I already mentioned it feels good in the hand. I think the AUS 8 is a decent steel. Last year, people were just harping on AUS 8 like crazy, and a lot of people who are new to the knife hobby started saying that AUS 8 is just terrible. It's the worst steel ever. It became a hobby horse for a lot of people. OS 8 is a budget steel. Granted, it's not a great steel, but it's a reasonable budget steel in my opinion. It's a good steel without being a great steel, or even, well, if I like to put it in three categories. You've got budget steel, you've got good steel, and then you've got great steel or premium steel. This is right there smack dab in the middle of budget steels. It's not the worst budget steel out there. It's not the best budget steel out there. It's a good budget steel, and it performed well for me in my tests. What are the cons on this? It takes a little bit to unlock it sometimes. Not always. I've gotten used to it, but when I first got it, I couldn't always get it to unlock. And it's only because you have to push a little bit more on this liner arm than you think you need to. It's not like you have to do extra pressure. It's not like you have to push too hard. I think it's more like the G10 on this side, you get to it and it sort of stops. I think it touches some of the G10 or something, and you're not always totally clear at the front where the lock arm meets the tang of the blade. And so sometimes I wasn't pushing far enough over. After a little while, I got used to it, and, it works very well on both of them now. Oh, that finger of mine still hurts like crazy. That's the finger that I cut into in this manner, straight down to the bone. Whew, that hurt. And so it still hurts sometimes when I flick things. Something about the bone and the tendons. I think I'm developing arthritis in there. Oh, well. So, yeah, it works good. It flicks well. It folds well. It closes well. It's a good knife. Some guys are not going to like the OS 8. I already mentioned that I don't mind it. Some people are just simply going to be against it, so that could be a con for you. If you don't like OS 8, don't think that I'm trying to convince you that you need to like it. I'm just trying to say that I don't have a problem with it. I think it's okay. I already mentioned, Love Them Knives found that there was a little play in the detent. I didn't find that problem. I think I've covered all the details of this knife. Let's do some cut tests. Let's try, just cutting some wood. Oh, I just took a little bit off the top of my nail there. I wasn't being fully careful. I was looking at the monitor. See, it cuts quite easily, quite well. Works great. Let's see how well it cuts paracord. When I was first starting reviews, I was doing 4 layers of paracord. So let's try 4 layers of paracord again. And it zipped through all of those, no problem. Easy squeezy. And, it cuts quite well through those, or you can slice. This is 7-strand 550 paracord. Cut through that quite well. We've got some of that 1-inch wide banding over here somewhere, don't we? Yeah, here we go. So there's that 1-inch wide banding. It's like molly banding. And let's see how well that cuts. That just zips, no problem as well. And, it just cuts. You can rock the belly and cut like that. Or you can just, once through, no problem. Oh, didn't show. Or, you can slice through it this way using the tip. Wharncliffe blades are really great because they have a nice, strong tip on them, well, almost always. And this one's no exception. I could do 101 different cut tests if you want, but I think it's a waste of your time. This blade here's got the original edge to it. I haven't changed it at all. This is the guy that I did the tests with. And actually, let's show you. Since I did this tests on this one, and I haven't touched it at all since I did those tests. So let's see if it cuts. Oh, wow. That cut through very easily too. So, even after a lot of cuts, this guy still cuts really well also. So there we go. There's the knife. I like it. I recommend it. You might find it to be slightly pricier than you want to spend. Well, then don't spend that much money. I'm not trying to be a salesman. I'm simply trying to let you know about the knife and if I believe it's worth the amount that is charged for it. And I think that it is. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, and all that other good stuff. If you've got any questions or anything that you want me to know or anything that you want to know from me, please put that in the comment section below. That's my favorite section of the knife. Remember that this summer I'm going on vacation, I'm going camping, and then I'm going to visit my sick mother for most of August and half of July. So the videos will slow down. There'll be much fewer videos this summer. I'm not quitting. I'll be coming on back full strength in September. So please stick around with the channel and keep supporting the channel.